I'm gonna have to say that watching him the day he died, he was very calm and very serene. He certainly didn't have any fear, any pain, any suffering at all that I saw.
He wanted to do a mass with Michael, and he asked his son, his son in the sense of it's fine, I have no objection.
Then there shouldn't be any permission, there shouldn't be any problem associated.
Apparently, no, yes, apparently there is social.
Well, anyway, he was born in 1931, 31, because he was born on the cusp.
No, but he was born in 32, it doesn't matter.
No,
He's still born in 32.
In the Chinese New Year, it's different, but there you go.
Yeah, but it wasn't, Chinese New Year is not 31. It's 5,987.
The metal sheep will have great faith in himself and know the value of his talents. He can camouflage his high degree of sensitivity by putting up a brave front. Although actually he is very vulnerable. He has a very vulnerable ego and is easily offended by offhand remarks. Metal reinforces his flowing artistic tastes, and he will be inspired by the search continuously for beauty in all its forms. His home could be a masterpiece of interior decoration, or as he is most concerned about harmony and balance in his daily life, leaving a familiar environment can be traumatic for him, as he will find it hard to adjust to change. This type of sheep will also aspire to security in both his domestic and financial life. His services won't come cheap, although he is not adverse to handing out free meal tickets now and then, doing things for nothing, in other words.
This ain't him.
I thought he was at the other end of it.
I think... No, okay,
Sort
go
of
on.
person. Shall I start again?
Yes.
This is a cooperative but speculative monkey. The you scratch my back and I'll scratch yours
That's Michael.
sort of person. Yet in spite of his dignified and worldly appearance, this type of monkey takes offense easier than other monkeys. Now you see where he's on the cusp, don't forget, so you get the best of both worlds and the worst of it. He will have a secretive, although kind nature, and can be deft and patient in his pursuit of his objectives. Deft and patient, that means laid back, in other words. Water, mated with his native sign, imparts him to a great sense of purpose. But he will know how to deal, will not to be too direct or obvious in showing his intentions. Shall I read that again? But he will know not to be too direct or obvious with his intentions. He can compromise with grace and will know how to work around barriers rather than waste his time and energy in knocking them down. The water monkey will have flair and originality. He motivates himself as well as others with his pleasant ways, and his ideas meet little resistance because of his ingenious way of introducing them. He will present things in their best possible light. He has a keen understanding of how human relationships function and will use this knowledge to achieve his ends. When he decides to be negative, the water monkey can suffer from lack of direction. He facilitates and becomes in turn erratic, evasive, and meddling. I don't think I can say that's true, that last bit.
What?
Tell it again.
Oh, just that Michael was one of the script writers for the NASA space project in the early days, in the early 60s, when the Mercury project was starting to send people in space. Michael was helped writing the propaganda for the public.
It was his job.
Yep, he was a film script writer. So he may have put the ideas out for the Right Stuff movie and never got his royalties.
Yeah.
Lots of interesting things. He was 4 or 5 years ahead of normal
Yeah, the CV was very interesting.
in being the first legalization organization in the United States.
Journey of his life.
He's making it, he's been there.
I know.
Hope you're flying well.
Yeah, I know.
This is the big one.
Yeah, he knows. That's good.
Well, to the east, the sunrise appears sacred, and over to the west, the sunset here is sacred too. All around us here, be somehow miraculously transmuted into kindnesses, righteousnesses, and blessednesses, and may we all soon know the wisdoms, patiences, redemption, and liberation the ancients experienced each and every time they beheld an endlessly beginning. And realize true moksha, liberation, together. This is an Aquarian adaptation of the Bodhisattva vows, put together from 66 to 68. Let us not pray for the absence of obstacles, but to be fearless and remain peaceful with ever-facing pain. Let us not pray for the stilling of our pain, but for the heart and the knowledge to conquer it. And if any, whatever doubts or fears may yet remain or still be lingering, let us not haste, or often appear or be so eager as to look to allies in life's unknown and sometimes conflicting or occasionally difficult encounter, but to first be even more willing to search ever deeper our inner strengths. Locate, identify, and experience as one, at least personally, knowing full well that especially in this unique and opportune hour, in one love, at least, this very perseverance doth always endure. Ever certain in the knowledge that the true grace, be it mothers, gurus, or our own earned grace, will continue to shine its guiding light in even this not so remote place, before even this eternally curious gaze. And may we ever be mindful to be even more willing to hasten ever so slowly, knowing that in it all there is perfection, transition, continuance, and completion simultaneously in this very moment, somewhere, could be anywhere, might just be everywhere, at the very, very least, it's here and now, as above, so below. Next come mantras. Michael said, please smoke during these prayers, and we can do it afterwards. These are ancient children tunes. Gatte gatte pare sungate pare, gatte gatte pare sungate. Okay.
Hallo beste mensen. Michael Moran. 10. Ik dacht net, Boom Shankar. Zijn laatste toon. En we weten hoeveel cannabis hij in zijn leven gerookt heeft. Ik denk dat Amsterdam misschien een beetje meegeniet van wat er nog in zit. Boom Shankar. En we zijn met z'n 12. En hij is de 13.
Stel voor dat we even met z'n allen misschien rond ons gebied staan en handen vasthouden en gezamenlijk.
Ja.
Maybe Michael will appreciate this. Trying to get anything organized this early in the morning for us, he would appreciate it. It's quite a tricky thing, but it's unfortunate. Michael was a pioneer, I think, in this path. He was one of the early movers, realizing change had to come. There had to be some movement from the position they were in. He was in a way part of the Beat generation, before the hippies, even though everybody thought of him maybe as a hippie. But his history goes back further. The original people who were on the road. And I think he was still on that road, still traveling. He was brave enough to stand and continue on the road rather than being diverted into perhaps a more secure life. He still stood up for what he believed in to the last. His final television performance, still preaching, still telling the world that really this plant is a plant and it should be respected as a sacred plant, as a medicine for the human race. I miss him very much. More than I thought I would. Much more.
Thank you.
That's why we're good with it. The same place where we did Conjuring Street, Vestergaard.
I was very pleased to see that beautiful circle that I came reaching a mission board. So I was thinking, oh, no, nothing's happening.
Write a huge Webster's dictionary with a reminder to look it up whenever I ask how to spell a word. That year you also gave me a thesaurus, a typewriter, and a real grown-up canvas pad and paints. I recall the lovely times you and Mom and I spent at art shows and jazz concerts, hearing Count Basie and Duke Ellington while I was in elementary school. I recall you playing the stand-up bass in our living room on Pearl Street. And I shared that fond memory with bassist Rufus Reed after a concert he played here a few days ago. I'm grateful that you valued a variety of music styles, from classical to rock. And you never, as far as I knew, judged a person's worth by the color of their skin or the amount of money they carried in their pocket. I wish you could see that I, too, live those values. Thanks also for bringing us to Virginia Beach and building a cabana for us on a dune near the water's edge, which broke the local zoning laws. And for allowing me to roam the beach and follow the fishermen with their glistening nets full. I sorely missed the ocean when we moved, but leaving became forgivable when we reached Vermont. My heart is at home here with a healthier life than can be found in most places. When I reached puberty, thanks for being brave and joining Mom and learning about the facts of life, such a creative, it is where I want to be. I will finally feel at home and can survive visiting the Bible, the teachers, and the holy sites, and the ashram, staying with friends who have been living and traveling there for decades. This is some of Michael's last words that he wrote. St. Patrick's Day 7 years ago. This was March the 17th. St. Patrick's Day 7 years ago, I made it back to New York City after being acquitted of a marijuana charge in State College, Pennsylvania, surviving a couple of cold and snowy winters at Happy Valley. I gathered my resources and get to Amsterdam after all of these years. St. Patrick's Day this year, Michael took a 10-euro note, left my cafe, went to the Irish bar in the corner. There's an Irish bar on every corner where we are. Michael had applied for a job and been accepted. I'd taken him on his old Irish barfly to deal with the competition. But he took a 10-euro note and went down to the Irish bar, the Shamrock, laid it on the bar and said, "A Guinness and a Jameson's for an Irishman from New York." He came home with the 10-euro note and he'd had several Guinnesses and Jamesons, I think. So, St. Patrick's Day 2002. This was after he came back, so I'm not sure I can read it perfectly. I prepare myself for the ultimate journey, my return to India. With only that same emptiness in my heart, the vacuum she left where my spirit used to be. Revitalized, then it kind of fades off. I don't know anything else to say. Michael just kind of faded away. But his family, the words I shared with you today, is only the most minute part of Michael's family. Michael has family all over the entire world. The reason that he perhaps didn't share his life as much with his real children is because Michael had children everywhere in the whole world. And so, take him home to India in your heart, go with him, and love him always as I will.
Okay, thank you.
And the music that we had prepared that didn't get played.
Oh, yeah.
We'll be making copies of it, and we'll be, gathering at my place a little later on today after I ride back. Is there anyone that doesn't have one of these that would like to?
Yeah.
They've been.
Principal. Yeah, you can. I'm waiting.
Love is in the air. Love
Here's Sam. Wait for me.
Boleh.
It's my birthday last Thursday, guys. Happy birthday. Next year, and I'm gonna lie about my age.
This makes it very strange, this age business. Yeah, stop. Not all that. You can always start growing younger anyway.
Nice, I can sit here and listen to music.
Secure knowledge. 3 months like that. Love that.
all the time.
I haven't smoked. That's what makes it.
Me neither, so I'm always.
On the party, yes, on the party, some, but normally no. Everyone.
That thing that blew fire to the beat.
Yeah, once you
That thing
taste
that
it.
blew fire to the beat. They had in that one room with all the mechanical stuff.
Where?
At that party. That blew fire.
Where?
When you were
Yesterday.
I don't know what to tell them.
No, I didn't. I find it really chaotic. Very nice to go with the
the mechanical stuff was cool. Agree. During the techno party, they're set up with all the
Bill.
music in it.